We're gonna be a fruit ninja today and cut up some of our favorite summer fruits. I'm gonna start with my favorite summer fruit, watermelon. You basically just pick a watermelon that feels really heavy for its size. That means it's very juicy and full of good stuff. And if you like knock it, it should have like a deep hollow sound. That means it's ripe. So what I'm gonna do is just cut it in half, go against the line. Ooh, and this one is perfect. Look at that deep red color. Smells good. Okay, so now we'll cut it in half again lengthwise. And from here, we basically have two different options on how to cut it. I'm gonna show you both. What I like to do is just leave it like this, and then I'll slice it into wedges. This way, you get those perfect triangles that you would at a summer barbecue. And to arrange it, it's really fun to kind of push every other one out so it's easier to grab. Now, if you don't want to have to bite into a watermelon and deal with all the rind, you can always cut it into cubes. So what I'm gonna do here is switch off to a paring knife, and I'm gonna score depending on how big your watermelon is. If you have like those really big ones, obviously you wanna make more scores, but because this one's pretty small, I'm just gonna go for about 1-inch cubes. I'm gonna score it through here, diagonally into the watermelon, turn it to the other side, score it again. And now taking my knife, I'm gonna slide it through the rind. We're gonna do this to both sides and carve out the flesh. If you can make it all the way, that's even better. And then the other side. And then now just chop it into chunks. Push it all out. And we have watermelon cubes. And this one you can just scrape off with a spoon and finish it. Easy peasy. The next summer fruit we're gonna cut up is this pineapple. Now I'm gonna show you guys how to pick a ripe and delicious pineapple. All you have to do is just tug the leaf on top, and if it comes out easily, it's ripe. Isn't that amazing? But if you've never cut a pineapple before, it can be a little bit intimidating. I'm gonna show you how to do it easily and really beautifully. So first we're gonna cut off the top. I like to go pretty close to the stem. That way we don't waste too much fruit. Oh, it smells so good. We'll give our watermelon a little bit of a hat. And then I like to cut the bottom so we have a level surface to work with. And what I'm gonna do is shave off the sides with my knife, but pretty close to the skin. I don't wanna take off too much fruit. A lot of people try to remove the eye when they do this, but I feel like that would just waste so much. I'm gonna show you a really fun way that I grew up learning how to get rid of these little eyes. So now we're left with a pretty splotchy looking pineapple. But now I'm gonna switch back to my paring knife, and what we're gonna do is just make deep V's. It's a little time consuming, but trust me, the end results will be so pretty. It's like a work of art. This is actually what my grandma taught me how to do. And I used to sit there with her cutting pineapples, so it became like one of my favorite summer memories. And it also goes into like a swirl pattern. So at the end, you'll get this really cool design. And here's your pineapple. Doesn't it look so cool with the spirals? It just shows that you put a lot of love and care into cutting this thing. And it looks really, really awesome. Now, what I like to do with my pineapple is actually eat it as a wedge or a stick. So we're gonna cut it in half. Beautiful. Put it on the flat side and then cut it in half and then in half again. This way you don't cut yourself. And then there's always that tough part in the middle of the pineapple. You can choose to leave it or you can cut it off. All you have to do is just kind of make a small slice and then leave it as a stick like this to enjoy whole, or you can always cut it into chunks. It's up to you. And each one will still have a nice design. And now melons. They come in all different sizes and shapes. This one is a mini cantaloupe and I have a regular honeydew here. And the way that you cut these are very much the same. Also, how I figure out if it's ripe or not is by the smell and the hollow sound. What I like to do first is just cut off the top so I have something level for it to stand on later. And then at this point, You can either choose to cut the whole thing or cut it in half, but I like cutting it in half so that it's easier to scoop out and just handle. And then to scoop the seeds out, I just like using a spoon and just scooping it into a bowl. Then to remove the peel, just take your knife again and slide it down. There's different ways to cut your melons, and I'm gonna show you how to cut it a different way with the cantaloupe. So now I'll just cut it in half. And if you wanted to have it like in thin slices as you would at a fancy hotel breakfast, then you just leave it in half like this and cut it into thin slices. And again in half. But I think this looks pretty cool. Every time I see melons cut like this, it just reminds me of going on a vacation and seeing this display, the melon display, at the hotel buffet. And they kind of just like do it like this. Am I right? Am I right? And if you guys go to work conferences, you totally know what I mean. Just slide it on over here like this. Or, this one's really sweet. Or if you want to do it in cubes, the way you would do that is very similar. Just cut it into larger chunks like this. I would do 1 inch slices, I mean. Turn it and then just cut it all the way down into chunks. And there we have nice large honeydew chunks. For the cantaloupe, same thing. Now you can do this interchangeably. If you wanted to do this to a honeydew, you can do that too. But we just cut off the top and the bottom to give us a flat surface to work on. But this time we're gonna cut it in half lengthwise. And just scoop out the seeds. And for this one, you can cut it into wedges if you'd like. I like cutting it in half. Again, and then in thirds. And notice I'm always trying to cut away from myself. That's why you see a lot of rotating around. And you get wedges like this. So here you could just leave it as a wedge. And what I like to do is cut it. Just take my paring knife and score it across like that. And if you wanted to, you can leave it like this whole. Or if you want to cut it for your kids, just take it and cut small cubes like that. You pretty much have endless options here with melons. There's so many ways to cut one. Or you can leave it in a wedge like this without the rind, which is probably a little bit more realistic. This probably could have used another day or two. Another favorite summer fruit is the mango. And there's actually a ton of ways to cut a mango, but I'm gonna show you my 2 favorites. So again, cut off the tip so you have a flat surface. And I always like using a paring knife when I'm cutting a mango. Now this is the way I grew up eating it. My mom would always sit there and peel the mango with the paring knife. And it's not a way that I've seen done very often before, but it's the way I grew up doing it, so pretty good at it. But what you get are really, really thin, shaved peels. Now let me tell you, I've been doing this since I was probably like 7, but if you're not comfortable with a paring knife like this, and if it's a pretty firm mango, you can always use a vegetable peeler. Okay. This is pretty much like the next part, we're gonna slice it, but it's kind of a hit or miss. I try to go as close to the middle as I can to look for the pit. And if I happen to touch it with the knife, I kind of just cut around it like this. And what I get is a really, really, really nice thick slice, a mango. And here you can pretty much do it however you want. You can chop it up into slices, you can cut it into chunks, you can do it into wedges. What we used to do is cut it up into slices like this and eat it whole. There's definitely another way to do it that's very popular, and the way that I've seen done most often here in the US is basically to cut with the peel on. I remember growing up and seeing my mom cut it the way that I just showed you, and when the first time I saw it being cut like this, my mind was completely blown away. Cut it in half, and then with your knife, score it, making sure not to go all the way down to cut through the skin, and then do like a checker pattern, and then flip it over like a porcupine. And then from there, you can just pick it off like this. If your mango is a lot more ripe than this, then you can probably just like slide it right off. But if it's a little bit tough and sticking, just use your knife, your paring knife, and just help it along. And there you have perfect, chunky, cubed mangoes. And last but not least, our favorite all year round fruit, the avocado. Now, a lot of times people will just hold and feel it to see if it's ripe, but the trick for an avocado is actually right here at the tip. So if you get something like this that's still fairly green and fresh looking, it's almost perfect. And then you also have to touch and feel it too to see if it's soft enough, but this one feels just right. If that little navel right there seems to look a little brown or a little old, chances are it's probably gone too far. To cut an avocado, believe it or not, there is a right and a wrong way to cut an avocado. First of all, with a paring knife or a knife that you can control pretty well, don't do that. Don't cut it in your hands. You're actually supposed to lay it down and cut it like this, rotate it. So you don't get this thing called avocado hand, which is what happens a lot, or so I've heard. And now to cut it into chunks, you actually should not take your knife and slice it in there, because if you have a really thin avocado skin, the knife can go in to your hand and cut you. So what you do instead is you peel it. And it actually comes out really easily. Look, you don't even need a spoon to help it out. Okay, and now to cut it into chunks, again, I always like to put it on the flat surface, and you can either cut into chunks, slices, what have you, but for salads, I really love cutting it like this. Just do a little slice, leaving like maybe an inch to the top, and then gently pressing it this way to fan it out. Like a seashell, perfect for summer. So you can always cut your avocado and display it like that. On a salad, on your toast, on your fruit platter. I'm just gonna put it here just to show that what we've done today, but this would work well on a salad. And then to remove the pith, I've seen a lot of people take a knife and whack it like this, hoping that it sticks, and there are times when people have missed. So what I like to do is just take my thumb and dig into the pit and just kind of twist it and pry it out. That way you don't hurt yourself. And while you're doing it, you can give it a light squeeze with your other hand to help it out. I know it seems like a really roundabout way to cut an avocado and to remove the pit when you can easily just go like that, but I'm trying not to get you into the emergency room, especially right now. Same thing, peel it, and then cut however you want it into wedges like this, or do what I just did and into chunks. And that is how we become a fruit ninja. I hope you guys enjoyed my tips and tricks on how to cut your favorite summer fruits. Comment below and let me know if you have a different way of cutting one of these here, or you can even share this video with a friend who needs a little help in the fruit cutting department. To see more helpful tips and tricks in the kitchen, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!